Welcome to Real Estate Meets AI, the podcast where we explore how AI is reshaping real estate, construction, and the built environment one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Sandeep Ahuja, CEO and co-founder of Cove, a full-service architecture practice that runs on AI to drive smarter, faster, and more innovative outcomes. As an architect and building scientist, I've spent the past decade helping teams turn design challenges into data-driven wins. Now, I want to get into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of real estate, AI, and data that my industry peers and I have cultivated, applying behind-the-scenes knowledge to the trends we see in action today and deliver it directly to you. This podcast is about demystifying AI in real estate, pulling back the curtain to show you the real system, workflow, and decision-making that power our built environment. In each episode, I sit down with industry leaders, trailblazing developers, and tech innovators to unpack ideas, lessons, and real-world stories. You'll hear what's happening, what's working, what's evolving, and what it really takes to lead in an AI-driven world. This is the Real Estate Meets AI podcast. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today, we're diving into AI in real estate, and we have an amazing guest to break it all down. I'm Sandeep Ahuja, and joining me is Colin Joynt, Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer at BXP, aka Boston Properties, only the largest developer, owner, and manager of premier office properties in the US. Colin has 20 plus years of tech leadership experience in the real estate world, driving digital transformation at major properties. Now at BXP, he oversees all the things tech, from applications and data services to IT infrastructure. Basically, the guy making sure smart buildings are actually smart. A little bit more about BXP. They're a real estate powerhouse with a portfolio of top-tier offices and mixed-use developments across Boston, New York, San Francisco, DC, LA, and more. They're known for their innovative streak. We're talking mobile access control, sustainable buildings, green development, you name it. So if anyone knows where tech meets real estate, it's at Boston Properties, and Colin is at the center of that action. All right, Colin, first up is AI meter. There is so much buzz about AI in commercial real estate, from smart buildings to chatbot tenants. With your vantage point, where do you think the industry truly stands with AI right now? Are we at a 1 or are we at a 5? With 5 being, we're there, everyone's doing it.
Well, first off, really excited to be here. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Yeah, it's one of these, I think, generational changes. So if I look at historically, the first change to me was the advent of the PC. What did that really do from a productivity perspective? It allowed you to be connected in a way that we'd never seen before. Fast forward, the advent of the internet. Now, all of a sudden, we have reams and reams of information available to us that are used to either support a position, augment a position, or basically say, you know what, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Then we have mobile. Now, all of a sudden, I can be walking a property. I can have instant feedback, instant understanding of what is going on with a particular asset, be it from a BMS system, be it from a traffic pattern system, be it from a leasing perspective. So you have these 3 transformational changes, and now we're at the cusp of what I consider the 4th, AI. So what does AI really mean to us in commercial real estate? I think depending on your asset class, it's going to have different meanings. In our world, being more on the premier workspace, it's looking at it from a position of task efficiencies. What can I do in a more efficient manner based on the amount of data that we currently have? I could look at my financial system and I can tell you I've got terabytes of data, but without context, what does that mean? And the other piece of it as well is, how do we serve up that data in a manner by which a property manager, an accountant, an executive, an IT practitioner, engineer can consume it in a very similar manner? I think we're, again, on the precipice of a game changer, particularly in our industry.
I completely agree. It's this idea. Efficiency to me is like, that's obvious. That's the lowest hanging fruit. No questions about it. But it's the ability to do things that we never would have done before, because either we wouldn't want to invest in analysts digging through reels of data and reorganizing them because we didn't know what would come out of it. It's the ability to dig into something we never would have. And that's what I find so exciting.
Yeah. So you asked the question of, where are we on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being we're just really at its infancy, and 5 being where everybody's all in. I think depending on who you speak with, we're all going to have different interpretations. We're going to have different definitions of what is all in versus we're just starting. I mean, here at BXP, we take a more pragmatic approach. Last year, we set up a cohort group of individuals across the entire organization and across our different regions. As you articulated, we are across the US, because what we wanted to understand were some of the challenges that were in the different regions, in the different groups, and
Mm.
how could we possibly leverage a solution to enable, define, assist with what they're currently doing today. Fast forward 10 months, 11 months now, we've got business processes that are documented. We have strong buy-in from our leadership team. We have dedicated owners inside of some of our business functions. And so we are on, I'll say, the next step of what do we do with this? Do we leverage a third party AI solution? Do we build our own? Do we do a hybrid approach? That's where we are in this journey, Sandeep. We are still understanding what makes the most sense for BXP, and there isn't a one size fits all. I think that's the one thing that you'll find within commercial real estate. Sure, we all lease space the same way, and we all do potentially CAM the same way, but
Even that's debatable. I don't know if
well,
everyone
okay, fair enough,
quite
fair
does
enough.
it the
You're
same
right.
way.
You're right. Fair enough. But it's the subtleties of regional nuances. The client experience for us in New York City is probably very different than Seattle. Seattle then is very different than DC. So how do we enable these regional subtleties, differences, approaches? It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
So where do you think we are on a scale of
Uh,
1 to 5?
I knew you were going to pin me down on that one. I think we're still not sure. I really do. I mean, I would say that we are, because our data's in a good spot, because our processes are
Okay, I'm
defined.
gonna add a caveat in here.
Okay.
Your opinions are your opinions alone. They do not
Yes.
represent the opinion of your business. Where do you think, Colin? Where are we?
I think we're about a 2.5.
Okay, uh,
I really
there,
do.
there
Yep.
it is. Yeah, I think that sounds
Yep.
right.
Yep. I think
That
so.
sounds right.
I mean, I talked to some of my peers and they've got full on bots already and they're starting to see results. And I've got others who are like, we're not there yet. So
It's
I'm
a
going
it's
to
a
go
mixed
right in the
bag to be
middle.
sure.
2.5.
2.5. All right,
Yep.
Colin, playing it safe. Love it. Okay, well, as we kind of think about that, like there's buildings, operations, sustainability, tenant
Hmm.
experience. There's just so many different areas where, like you mentioned, that AI is making the most impact or there's real action. Where have you heard it, whether at BXB or even externally to your peers or folks that you meet and partner with? Where you think it's currently being utilized the most? Is it more operations, more leasing, more back office? Like where is it most?
I think it's still the back office and what you think is easy, like lease abstraction, right? I think lease abstraction is a really solid use case for AI. I think the comparison of legal documents. So if you look at a client that's been with your organization for 10 years, how many amendments do they have? How many bumps do they have? How many renegotiations do they have? I mean, all of those pieces, the volume of data that you need to comb through to find out you've got 8 amendments. Which amendment is still applicable, let's say, for a marketing spend, or which is still applicable for a capital expense on a garage? That amount of time for a person to go through it, task efficiency, put it all together. And there's some really cool platforms out there that are already doing it. So that gets back into the do you build versus buy? And I think that's a
Yeah.
philosophy, right? It's a philosophical question around what do you want to do?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's two things that you mentioned that really get me excited. Obviously, as you know, we're an AI powered architecture practice, right? So when
Yeah.
you talk about this idea of looking through reams of data and doing it faster,
Hmm.
what I've found is it's not only about that, it's about more accurate too. Because I just think that there are some tasks that we as humans are not the best suited for. And there's some tasks that the machine is not the best suited for. And I think
Correct.
that it's that beautiful dynamic between those and finding kind of, well, let's do the things that only we can do, which again, in my business, it's design and the thought and the notion of
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
let's let the machine do what it does best, which is look at all the different zoning codes, for instance, and pick out, okay, I have looked at every code that could possibly exist,
Right.
and this is the best and highest use of land. And to me, that's exciting.
Well, so conversely, what we're looking at is if you look in the leasing world, right? Like, give me, the last 6 clauses I've written in a lease related to, let's say, cleaning. expense, right? Or cleaning escalations. The amount of time it would take when we're dealing with these large, complex leases, if we can boil it down and say, here they are, here's the commonality, present it in a table, and then all of a sudden the legal team and leasing go, oh, this is the clause we want to use, done. On to the next one, right? The old adage, time is money. The other area that we're really looking at is you talk about data. So in your world, it's, like zoning and land use and those pieces. Mine, it's a lot around the BMS systems and how they have so much data because, as you are aware, every asset we have, it operates in a very different way. It's subtle, they take on a life of their own. And our engineers, if we can give them more tools, more data to make decisions to really operate an asset effectively, the benefits are just incredible, not only for us corporately, but also for our clients, right? Because again, it's an experience. It's our clients that matter to us.
Actually, to that point, not to interject at all, but I got so excited. I think I read something about this where y'all used the BMS data to reduce the energy use by 40% and save some $3 million a year.
May have read that. That's not my group. That's a sustainability team. But as you said in your opening remarks, we are very driven around data to make decisions that better our buildings. And bettering our buildings have an environmental component. There's no two ways about it. We're proud of it. It's so fascinating. It's so exciting, the possibilities. And that's where I get really amped up is what are the possibilities? Because we haven't even thought of some of them yet. And the
No,
only
we
way
haven't.
we're going to trip on them. We're going to trip on them. The AI is going to throw something up and we're going, oh, we hadn't thought of that. Or, oh, if we do this and this and this, what does it look like in totality versus three separate parts? So fascinating time to be in IT, especially as it relates to AI. Fascinating.
Yeah. That's incredible. I did also read, because gosh, so many things that you've been up to, but I did read that you set up 9 cross-functional AI groups internally to explore new tech. I think that's roughly what you were just describing, right? Like all the
Yeah,
different
that's
leadership,
our
and
cohort group. Yep,
that's your cohort
correct.
group.
Yep.
So is that safe to assume that that's a signal that AI is a big priority for you guys?
I think it's safe to say that we are acknowledging there's a place inside of BXP for what it looks like. It gets back to let's find the right story, let's find the right scenario, because we also want to ensure success, right? It's a balancing act in our world. I really want this to be successful because the other piece, and I'm not sure, I'm just going to dive into it as you said, right? Like we've got to talk about change management. Like we have to talk about how AI is going to change the way we work. It's going to change the way we think. It's going to change the way we interact. And we want to really find a one or two, as I said, items, focus on those, make them successful, learn from it, and then it will slowly, we think organically, it'll grow.
That's probably correct. And I love that approach versus kind of like, here's the new system for management. Let's go rock and roll. I think we both know just how successful that can be.
Right. Right.
Not
And
very.
it's interesting. You have to consider it. I learned this from an old boss of mine.
Mm,
When he was growing up, the personal computer wasn't technology for him, but for his parents, oh my goodness, it was crazy. And so when you look at sort of what AI is doing, like my daughter uses AI every day. Every day she's using something. It's ChatGPT, it's Gemini, it's whatever she and her friends are using. But how do I change and manage that inside of an organization that's been here since the mid 70s? Like we're a 50 plus year old organization.
yeah.
And it's fascinating the change. How do we incorporate it? I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it is just it's just an incredible time to be in tech. Incredible time.
I couldn't agree more. It's interesting as you talk about your daughter. I'm guessing that she's, I don't know, middle school, high school, if she's on the computers.
She's
But
a freshman in college, so
oh my goodness, wow.
yes.
But I do wonder how it's not that we need to dive into it, but I do wonder all the time what education's going to be like. What are even things going to look like for folks, like I don't know, brand new investment analysts that you hire? What
Mhm.
will their requirements be? What will they need to know to get on the job versus before? Those are I think those are such interesting thoughts.
It is very
Not
intriguing.
many
And
know.
no, but so we have a very robust internship program here. And so it's interesting when we talk to the interns about like, what are you guys learning in school? Because I haven't been in school for a while. So it ties into what you're just saying, which is this next influx of new team members. What do they look like? What are they looking for? We jokingly say, is AI the next version of email? Like when you started an organization, the expectation is you get an at organizationname.com email. What about AI? Is that part of your onboarding? Is that part of your toolkit? Don't know yet. Don't know.
Yeah. And I think there's something about not trying to answer, like you said, and I've kind of noticed this theme in the way you think about much of this, and tell me if I'm picking up on the wrong idea. But you have a style of I'm seeing it all, but it's too early to make any big broad proclamations about what will be or what is because it's changing so drastically. That is what I'm picking up from you.
And I think you're right. I think the tech landscape is littered with prognoses that have failed. But I think the prognoses that have come true are the ones that are very pragmatic. Strategic or capital level perspective, you look at some of these valuations of some of these AI firms and you just go, this is crazy. Like, how is so much capital flowing into these AI platforms at these crazy valuations? And I say to myself, there has to be some sort of consolidation at some point. Not all of these, unicorn type AI shops are going to exist. They're not. They're just going to all consolidate because when you look at somebody like an Amazon, when you look at someone like a Microsoft, how are you going to compete with those organizations that are pouring billions into AI? So my pragmatism is around where do I see the growth and where do I see the long-term scale? In my opinion, every good real estate person, like we buy and hold. We buy and hold assets and we appreciate and we grow with the asset. This is what I want to do with AI. I want to find the right partner and I want to grow with them together on this journey. So starting small, little groups, roll it. Let's see what happens.
I like that. And it probably will make the whole change management aspect significantly easier because you already have internal champions to say great things about it.
Right. Right.
Right. Well, let's talk some real world examples. I'd love to hear about how, like in some of these use cases, whether you can describe this cohort, what they're testing, what are you seeing, something practical that you're excited about that you think is a groundbreaking pilot, or maybe groundbreaking is too bold a word, or is just a cool pilot that you guys are working on.
The context around the cohort was we didn't want this to be viewed as an IT initiative. We really didn't. Like we wanted to be the sponsor. We wanted to be the champion. We wanted to be the kind of like the navigator, so to speak, on what this journey looks like. And so it's been fascinating because areas of the business, accounting as an example, they're leading my pack. We have one individual downstairs in our accounting group who is every time I see him, we're talking about what he wants to accomplish and what he wants his team to accomplish. That's what we were driving for. We were driving for this bottom up grassroots approach to solving problems. And then the other thing too, Sandeep, which has been fascinating from my perspective, what we thought around how different departments worked, we were wrong. Like the
Tell me
IT
more.
team, well, like the IT team, right? We thought, oh, this is the way they do things in legal or this is the way they do things in accounting. No, we've learned and grown together. And what I have found is the trust factor between our teams is continuing to grow because we've enabled the accounting team, legal team, construction, development, others to experiment on their own in a safe environment. But we've also been willing to say, oh, we didn't think of that. Or, that's an interesting concept. We hadn't looked at the problem from that perspective. And so we've had this mutual growth. It's been fabulous to watch. I just, again, you can tell I light up over this stuff, but
I can. You
yeah,
literally are lighting up.
I know it's crazy. It's crazy to
It's
watch just
not. It makes so
this
much
journey.
sense.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
this
It's
word
wild.
that you used, this word safe, that gets me
Yeah.
really excited. So,
Yeah.
obviously, for an architecture firm, we have an outsized technology team, right? Because we're an AI powered architecture firm. So, it's like 50% of our team is like software engineers.
Sure.
And historically, I've run a SaaS business before. It was super successful. But in a SaaS, where we knew the product roadmap, we were doing standard sprints, when I would meet the head of software, He would tell me, this is the sprint, here's how we're tracking, this is the roadmap,
Yep.
basic stuff. Now, as we started even redefining how we code, what does a sprint even mean in this new world, as
Mm-hmm.
we're using, I don't know, the cursors or the bolts or what have you, just new methodology, we really had to create a safe space all the way from myself as the CEO to the most junior coder that, listen, it's okay. I know that when we give out timelines for the next little period, these are all loosey goosey. We're going to do our best and we're going to learn a lot and we're going to make a lot of mistakes. But what
Mm-hmm.
came on the other side was so much creativity, so much
Right.
stuff that I had never seen in my entire life. But it was because
Right.
of that word, safe. And it sounds like that's the environment that you created, safe.
So I'll give you another example. So here's the way that we look at a problem now. So the advent of search, right? You'd go to Google, you'd go to Yahoo, you'd go to Bing, you'd go to Edge, you'd go to, I'll date myself here, Netscape, right? And you would just fire something in, which was like, I need an address for a good Thai restaurant near me. Great. Okay. Now with AI, you prompt it and you say, what is the best Thai restaurant within a 3 mile radius of my location? Such subtle words, but massive differences in the way that you need to think. And so when I look at my teams and how I manage my teams, I like to tell them, I want you to skin your elbows. I want you to bang your shins, but I'm not going to let you break your neck because that means it's progress. It means we're trying. It means we're pushing, we're learning. And with prompting and, you look at what you can now do with GitHub and you look at what you can do with Anthropic and Claude and all of these other really cool things you hit on, Bolt as well. It's like, it's endless because it is allowing you to put your own spin on it in an environment that's safe. And, don't know if you have children or not. I mean, as I mentioned, I have a freshman,
I
like you
have a
still
two and
remember.
a half year old.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. It's like you sit here and you watch them. How do they learn? They fall down, right? They fall down and they bump. And what do? They get frustrated and they just get back up again, right? They crawl on the couch when they're learning how to walk or they're trying to ride a bicycle. Try to do that for someone like me who's kind of set in his ways. It's funny, but you have to retraining, you have to rethink, and that's curiosity and that's safety. I'm more willing to try something new in a safe space than I am in, a public forum.
Which
So
makes perfect sense. We all are, except the kids. Like she will
kids,
fall as many times as
I
she
know.
will, and she will get
Yeah.
right back up. And I
Right.
think there's something really magical about that.
Yep. Yeah. It's fascinating to watch. Fascinating.
Well, it's time for our lightning round. So this is where we ask quick questions and for everyone that's listening to get to know you beyond the office. So just say the first thing that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be big, long. It's just like let's
Okay.
learn you. Let's learn a little bit
Sure.
more about you.
Fair enough.
What was the first gadget or computer that geeked you out as a kid?
Oh, Commodore, good old Commodore 64 back in high school.
Boy, I love that one. All right. In one word, describe how you felt when walking into BXP's smartest building for the first time.
Just absolute awe, absolutely in awe with what it was and what it is.
Right, are you an office early bird or a night owl when it comes to getting work done?
No, I'm the early guy. I'm in early. I can work late, but I'm more definitely the early guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
What's one tech tool or app you can't live without? Obviously, besides email.
See, I could live without email, to be perfectly honest with you. No, I mean, really the tech tool right now is ChatGPT. So when my daughter was applying to college, I built just a little bot in ChatGPT. And what I would do is I would fire every school that she was interested in, along with the associated college and degree. And it would then spit out tuition, grants, loans, in-state, out-of-state, all of those pieces, dumped it into Excel. And then I had a nice little pivot table. So I could very quickly go, here you go. Where do you want to go to school? This is how much it's going to cost. The
I
first
love it.
one took me, I don't know, about an hour and a half to build. And then the second one was just like 5 minutes. You just change a few parameters and away you go. So,
Yeah, it's so magical. So because like I said, my daughter, similar daughter story and similar ChatGPT story, but she stays at home and I'm super into Montessori's teaching
yep.
style. And obviously she's only 2.5. There's no real school for her yet.
Right.
So I built this little bot inside of ChatGPT that spits out her curriculum for every single day of the week for her and her nanny to do together so that she can keep learning. And I just think it's so magical that I can do that now. I don't have to go read 20, 30, 40 books.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's comfort. It's comfort. You feel that your daughter is learning in an environment that, you support. It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Okay, well, Colin, last but definitely not the least, there's the final
Hmm.
takeaway. You've been driving innovation in an industry that's not always quick to change, and you've seen successes and challenges along the way.
Hmm.
What's one piece of advice you'd leave with other business leaders out there, especially those navigating rapid change with the rise of AI in their organization? What's the one piece of advice?
I really think you need to be curious. I say curious because what I've learned is the way I think a team works may not always be the right answer. And so if you're curious, you go into these conversations with a mindset of what can I learn today? How can I teach? How can I absorb? How can I? And so I think curiosity, you have to go into all of these meetings with a sense of curiosity. If you go in with a sense of curiosity, I think people will respect it. They will also gravitate to you because, as you and I just talked about, we're going to create this safe space where everybody can have an idea and no ideas are wrong because you're being curious. So that would be
I
my
love that.
advice as you're going on this transformation. And pick an area of your organization that you don't know about, right? Like if you look at these large complex organizations, pick an area that you don't know anything about. One of my first roles in commercial real estate, we were building a hotel and they asked me to get involved with the hotel and I had zero construction experience and it was the best experience of my life. Boots on the ground, learning what's a page turn, right? What's a sequence? What's a this? What's a that? That level of knowledge comes with you. And now when I go visit a building and I'm talking to the engineers, I'll be like, hey, let's go look at your chase. And oh, look at that. I can see why you did the mounts here. And oh, what's your, flow pressure and this and that. All of a sudden, because of my curiosity, has done wonders for my career. So be curious.
Be curious.
There you go.
Colin, this has been such a fun time chatting with you and learning from you and hearing about all the wonderful and creative initiatives that y'all are undertaking over at BXP, but also more importantly, your point of view about how we can all make sure we're not being scared with AI, but also handling it with a sense of the right urgency, but not also rushing into everything all at once. And I really appreciate that balance. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you for
I
coming on.
appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's been a blast, absolute blast.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Meets AI podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the Real Estate Meets AI podcast on your favorite streaming platform and follow us on social media at cove.inc. Until next time, I'm Sandeep Ahuja.